longevity lifestyle designer. This is Gilpin with secretsoflongevity.com. As you know, I've been a long time promoter of products specifically from survival, but basically any kind of androgenic supplement, which I think is very viable and I've used myself and had experience with. And one of those in particular I've got a video on, more than one video on, but it is elk antler velvet, or more commonly known as deer antler velvet. Obviously any type of cervid animal that grows horns is going to be producing these types of compounds in its antlers that could be used by people and turned into a supplement of some kind. In this case with elk antler that Surthrival creates, that's the one that I've seen as being the most effective just from their methods of extraction and from my own experience with its use. There's definitely a lot of other great products out there. I would just say that they have a different purpose, and I'm not going to get into that too much in this video. I wanted to more focus on the science behind elk antler and deer antler velvet, and what reasons why I think there's actually skepticism about it. A lot of people are kind of saying it doesn't work or it hasn't been proven to work, and by all means, yeah, there isn't, in terms of the very large scale studies, there's not enough on specifically the IGF-1 androgenic effects that can't be proven, at least with the products they've tested it on. I'd like to see some studies done on the way that Surthrival's elk antler velvet is used, which is sublingually, because that bypasses the gastric juices, which would break down the IGF-1 that's proven to be contained within the elk antler velvet. And they, with their high quality standard and preservation in their product, I have no reason to think why it wouldn't be able to get into the bloodstream through the sublingual or mucosal absorption process. So I think that's the major flaw that we see in sort of these blanket statements being put out there by a lot of these so-called skeptics. And they have good reason, but I think what the reason should be is saying, up to date we don't have proof of elk antler velvet's specific effects around IGF-1, but it has been proven to do a number of other things which seems to get sort of pushed to the background and not acknowledged properly because there's this lack of evidence for the IGF-1 or androgenic qualities, then it suddenly gets dismissed for everything else. And that's not very non-biased. That's not a non-biased approach. So we have to look at it from a better place. And then also, if we consider things like what I'm talking about here with Surthrival's product and its difference in its absorption, there's the very real possibility that it can be significant in increasing these androgenic qualities. So like I mentioned, we're not going to go too much into detail in all the specifics and all the wide myriad of benefits that we know about deer antler velvet or elk antler velvet. So I'm going to encourage you to go to this video here if you want to learn more about it, just even know how it's extracted and what exactly it is and why it would be something you want to take. Definitely check out that video that was done in about a year ago on my channel here. It's still very much holds all the same standards of what I know about it, and I even show what it looks like from the bottle, at least Surthrival's, and it's fresh, and you can see it, that vibrant pink color, which is something you don't see in many antler extracts or antler tinctures or products, because they've used an older product. It's not as fresh, it's not preserved in the proper way with the Myron glass bottle, with the organic grape alcohol and the specialized extraction methods that they use to preserve it in that way, to keep it and deliver a very fresh product. So there's been a lot of media hype recently around elk or deer antler velvet, specifically a spray from a company that was associated with a football player. I believe his name was Ray Lewis, and I don't know the specifics of whether he took it or not. There was some controversy around whether he was taking that. It was a banned substance because it had IGF-1 in it. Now, they were just doing that on the fact that it actually contained it. Whether or not that company's product actually functioned or whether he tested positive for IGF-1 in his blood or anything like that is not public information or is even available. But what we do understand from it is that it's very popular with athletes. We see it being used throughout time in China. We see the anecdotal reference to it being so popular in terms of its effects I've known tons of people who have that, again, that anecdotal side to it. I've had my own experiences with it, and there's this dramatic increase in energy and recovery from athletic endeavors. I was using it during my bodybuilding regimen 2 years ago, and noticed a big difference if I was taking it versus not, and that's when I first started using it on a regular basis. So it's proven to me, and being aware of the placebo effect, yes, that can be a factor, but approaching something from a very skeptical place myself when taking something new, it's not something that I was just gung-ho about taking, just embracing fully until I actually felt the effects. So I'm going to reference a few studies. Some will be linked below, some are just written out because there's not a source from online. What we see is one study in Canada in Edmonton police from 1998 had an increase in testosterone in the blood of these officers. So from that we can understand that there'd be quicker recovery time, more muscle mass gains, and faster injury recovery. We see another study done in 1999 from again, this is the same person who was doing the previous study, Dr. Fisher. This one also had Gilpin, M, and Wiles, D. And it showed that the overall nutrition found in the velvet antler acted like a whole food multivitamin. It had the minerals and proteins that were very easily usable by the body, and there was a reported overall increase in energy. And then 2 studies by Russian scientists also showed positive effects from velvet antler in athletic training, and it showed increases in, for kayakers, weightlifters, and bodybuilders, increase in both muscular strength as well as nerve strength and muscle tissue growth. Another Russian study with the Russian Bodybuilding Federation found that it helped with quicker recovery after exercise and intense physical activity. These are mostly through 1999. And then another one in 1999 found that elk antler or deer velvet antler stimulated wound healing, and that increased red blood cell production, stamina, and muscle recovery. At the completion of another study in 1999 on mice, velvet antler was fed to growing mice and bone development was stimulated. As we know, IGF-1 is a major factor in assisting. And at the completion of the study, there was the increase in length, thickness, and mineral content of the upper leg bone on these mice. And again, all of these studies I've got referenced below. Another study at Oxford University in England led researchers to claim that the IGF-1 in velvet antler had medicinal value for humans because the IGF-1 showed the ability to promote muscular development, prevent muscular atrophy, and also slowed the overall effects of aging. So that was another one in 1999, McNeary PS. There's a lot of fear around IGF-1 and cancer, and I'm going to link to this video of mine here, which was a lot more recent than the elk velvet one, but that just shows IGF-1 is not something you need to be afraid of. It's other factors that could go wrong with a high IGF-1 level in your blood. And with elk velvet antler, it's been shown to have very potent anti-tumor type properties, which is going to be shown by another study here. This one's from the fall of 1998. And this was at Kyunghee University and done by the Korean Food and Drug Administration, and examined velvet antler as a complement to anti-cancer drugs. And it showed that the mice that received the extract suffered remarkably less muscle and tissue loss and regained the weight much more quickly afterwards. The survival time improved on the mice that were given the velvet antler 7 days prior to the cancer treatments on the tumors, and they also had a lot less kidney damage than the control groups. And I could go on and on about its benefits for diabetes, cholesterol, its improvement for sexual function. That's one that had some skepticism around, so I'll also mention that one. In traditional Chinese medicine, the velvet has been used to treat impotence in men, infertility in women, and prevent miscarriage. And that's because it's a Yangjing tonic. It really improves that sexual function. And this was published in the Journal of Chinese Medicine, and it showed an increase in sperm count and sperm mobility. So I think the main thing people are missing here when they are skeptical and dismissive of velvet antler products is that, one, they have never used it in most cases. They've never used a good quality source of it. And B, they're not thinking, or at least they're not looking at the right enough studies, and they're probably not thinking about it in terms of the quality of the antler products used. It's unfortunate that there is a very specific way it needs to be used, which is some way that it can be bypassed through the digestive tract, because obviously gastric juices break down proteins. IGF-1 is a protein, and that's going to end up not having it be available to the body after digestion. Of course, there's the minerals, a lot of the regenerative compounds that exist in addition to that can be still used after digestion. Some of those studies actually, especially when they were done on mice, showed the antler being injected. So that's kind of interesting because that again is bypassing that area of the body. But the mucosal absorption appears to be very viable, especially when it's in a very high concentration of alcohol, such as survivals. And there's actually a sale on it, survival, for actually up until midnight tonight. If you're watching this video the day it comes out, so that's February 7th. And if you enter the coupon code GOLD, all in caps, you can save 10% off Elk Antler Velvet Gold. That's just their one product. There's the silver, gold, and platinum. Gold's the one I've used the most. It's a great one because it's not too strong that a full tincture dropper full will be a little too powerful. Personally, when I take too much, I get a bloody nose, and that just, again, shows me there's something actually happening here. It's not some placebo effect that has you thinking that you have more energy. And the silver, I found, needed to take 1 or 2 full dropperfuls, whereas the gold you can do, half a dropperful or a full dropperful, depending on how much stimulation from it you wanted that day. And that seems to be a really good dose for most people. So again, that sale's on until midnight tonight, and I'll probably be updating you in the future if there's any other sales if you miss this one. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, favorite, and share this video if you feel so inclined. And with that, take care and embrace life without limits.